I always hope it works. Unless your fingers.
All right, thank you all for coming tonight. My name is Sarah. I'm the Adult Services Librarian here in McFarland. We are very honored to have Dexter Patterson with us tonight. Dexter is the co-founder of the BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin, an organization dedicated to making birding more accessible and inclusive for people of color. And in addition to that, he's the CEO of Operation Bird Joy, a venture aimed at spreading joy and encouraging people to enjoy the wonders of bird watching. If you follow him on social media, you will see that joy. And we're excited to see that joy tonight as well. So Dexter, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I got to give a big shout out to my friend Sydney over there from Ink Cat Books in Stoughton, independent bookstore. Fun fact about that wonderful little shop, they were my first local stop on my book tour, which was really cool. So I always will remember that stop. It was stop number one, and now I'm like, honestly, I don't even know how many I've done now, but I've been on the road since October. So really, really excited to be here with you all today. Couple other facts about me. Like Sarah mentioned, I am the co-founder of the BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin. I'm also the co-host of the Bird Joy podcast. So if you like podcasts and you like birds and you like people just nerding out about birds, check us out. You can listen to our podcast wherever you get your podcast. We just finished our 4th season. So we have over 50 episodes of Bird Joy just waiting for you. All right. I'm also a faculty member at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where I teach science communication. So I tell people the simplest way that I explain what I do there is I teach the future scientists and researchers of the world how to communicate their work with media. So photography, video, radio, podcasting, and also social media. I am also the director of Sciences and Climate at the Wisconsin Academy of Sciences, Arts, and Letters, where I lead our statewide programming in the climate and energy space. So I'm a big science nerd. That's what I'm a big nerd, and I just happen to like birds a lot. But why birds? Why birds? I get this question a lot. Dexter, why birds? And there are so many different reasons on why I love birds, but they fall into these 3 main buckets. The first one is the boosting of the mental health. Research is clear. As a scientist, there is research out there that it proves when you spend time in nature, it lowers your cortisol levels. It reduces anxiety and depression symptoms. So it makes you feel good. And I don't know about you, these days, I think everybody can use a little bit of feel good, right? So it makes you feel good. It's good for you. That's number 1 at the top of my list. The next one is education and environmental awareness, right? Really kind of understanding your place in the world, understanding that you just play this itty bitty piece, right? You're just one piece of a puzzle in this world that we call life. And then it's kind of humbling when you actually do that, right? It gives you a lot more respect for all living things, and not only just them, but also their environment. So educational and environmental awareness is a big one. And the last one, folks, is community. A lot of these stops that I've been having have been at community libraries like this. And I tell people all the time at my events, and I tell people, birding isn't about the birds. And they're like, what? You're the bird guy. What do you mean birding isn't about the birds? And I tell them it's about you. It's about the community. It's about the people that I've been able to meet in the wild. I've met some of the best people in my life. Some of my best friends I've met through birding. I've met on a trail. So I always tell people it's connection and community. All right, folks. Similar to why birds, people always ask me, well, what's your favorite bird? And then I'm like, well, picking a favorite bird is like picking a favorite kid, and I have 4. But, right, some days I have a favorite. No, don't tell. They might be watching. I didn't mean that. But if I tell people all the time, it's the osprey. If I have to pick one, it's the osprey. And it's because there was this moment. And this was before I even knew what the osprey was. It's before I was a big time bird nerd. It's before I knew really anything about birds. I tell people all the time, even as a little kid, I liked them. I like birds, but I didn't care about their names or anything like that. Like, white bird, big white bird. It's just little bird, red bird, all these birds, right? But one day, this is that social media video was kind of taking off. And I'm kind of scrolling through my feed and I see this bird and it's flying, it's flying straight down, right? And this was something I had never seen before. And not only is it flying down, it's flying faster than I've ever seen any bird fly ever in my life. And it's flying faster and faster and it's flying straight down, but it's also flying towards water. I was very confused. I'm like, why don't you just stay up there, dude? Like, you know how to fly. Why are you coming towards the water? And it's coming faster and faster and faster and faster and faster towards the water. And all of a sudden, it blocks out these huge talons. And I was like, whoa. Y'all, you know that emoji on your phone where your head blows up? That was me. I tell people all the time, Apple stole that reaction from me. That was me. That was me. I am that emoji. But all of a sudden, it hits the water. Whoa. I'm freaking out because not only does it hit the water, it's completely submerged. This bird is gone. I'm like, it's going to drown. I'm freaking out. And I'm like, Dexter, why are you watching this? I was so confused. But all of a sudden, this little head pops out of the water. And it starts looking around, it's looking left, it's looking right. And then next thing you know, its wings come out of the water. And I had never seen anything like it. I mean, talk about the wingspan, 5-6 feet. And I'm like, oh my goodness, right? And it starts flapping its wings and flapping its wings and flapping its wings. And it flies away, folks, holding a huge fish. Just like this. That day, I was done. I said, I love birds. What is this bird? I don't know what I just saw, but I love you. I love you so much. So I start doing research and I find out that this bird is the osprey. And as I'm doing research, the scientists in me, I start learning a little bit more about the bird. And then I find out they actually nest in Wisconsin. Yo, so I was the emoji again for a second. Did you see that? Y'all got to keep up. So all of a sudden, I start doing more research and then I find out they nest at Cherokee Marsh North in Madison. I live on the east side of Madison. This is less than 10 minutes away from my house. Then I find out that they nest on top of the cellular tower at the post office across the street from the Woodmans on the east side. And I'm like, the whole time, my whole life, this bird has existed and is having little osprey babies 5 minutes from my house. My whole life was a lie. That day, I said, I'm a bird nerd. I want to learn as much about this bird and every other bird possible. So if I have to pick one, I'm going to pick the osprey, but I always tell people, don't tell the yellow-headed blackbird that, please. As I started getting excited, right, after this osprey moment, after realizing I love birds so much, I am a bird nerd, I want to see more birds. So I started going birding. I started showing up at some of these local clubs, and I started going out. And I was having a good time, I'm learning. But the one thing that I struggled with, I showed up at a lot of these places. And at the time, I would be typically the youngest person there. My daughters will tell you I'm not young anymore. No, I'm not. But I would also be the only person of color, typically every single time. So that used to make me wonder, like, should I be birds? Is this really for me? Nobody that looks like me is birding. Nobody that looks like me is leading, right? So I struggled with that for a long time. So I will tell you folks, for over a decade, I didn't tell anybody I like birds. And that's shocking for a lot of people because as you can see, I get a little excited, right? I didn't share this bird joy with people. And that was due to the lack of representation that I seen in. Like I said, it wasn't that I didn't feel welcome in some of the spaces. It was like, I just didn't feel the space was built for people like me. So the solution for me was to be a part of the solution, not the problem, and create a birding club where everybody felt welcome, right? Where if you showed up, you'll see black, brown, white, and everybody in between, every age, right? Like that was my goal. I was like, I want to create a space where everybody can show up and get some bird joy. And that's why we created the BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin. Folks, when we decided to start this, honestly, it was just an idea, but I had no clue if anybody would show up. I had no clue if anybody even wanted this thing. You know, I wanted it. Our club members, some of the club members that reached out to me wanted it. So we decided we're going to start this club. We set up a private Facebook group. I built us an Instagram page, and we scheduled our first event July 24th, 2021 at Nine Springs Skiway. Not too far away from here, right? And I was like, it's going to be me and my kids. That's going to be our first event. Probably just me and my kids. And I'm like, that's fine. But guess what? 15 other birders showed up. And that day I was like, we got something here. We got something here. And every event, folks, we start every event in circle. And I say, hello, my name is Dexter Patterson. I use he, him pronouns. Welcome to the BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin. And I told my osprey story. Folks, within 10 minutes of us starting our walk, guess what bird showed up? I had 15 witnesses. The osprey, guess what it did? It came from the sky. Beard. It poked its little head out. It flapped it with a huge fish in front of our entire group. That day forward, I walked around. My chest had never been poked out further. I was so proud. I felt like the bird whisperer. I'm like, you get an osprey, you get an osprey, you get an osprey, you get an osprey. Everybody gets an osprey. And that was it. I knew that we had created something special. Some other observations that I made as I was going out to some of these birding communities, I noticed a lot of times in these spaces they did not welcome new birders necessarily. They just kind of like assumed that everybody knew what they knew, right? I didn't see an environment that was conducive to like asking questions, especially simple questions. Like, what if you don't know what an American robin is? What if you don't know what a blue jay is, or a cardinal, or an American goldfinch, or some of our local birds? And there are a lot of people that don't, right? And I noticed that a lot of these spaces did not welcome new birders. So that was something that I wanted to change at our birding events is when we start in that circle, another question I always ask, I say, are there any new birders with us today? And I ask that at every single event. And ever since July of 2021, hands go up every time. So we're reaching people that have never been birding before, right? So we can't assume they know anything. The next thing I will tell those new people is if you see a bird, point at it, you're being helpful. If you hear something, you're curious, tap one of us and ask a question. What do you think happens when you welcome people by celebrating their presence, telling them, encouraging them to ask questions? What do you think that does to them? Like immediately, right? So they're like, this is my community. I can ask questions. I can learn with these people. So that was a big, big, big thing for me. We wanted to make sure that all new birders knew that this space was for them. The next one, as a father, I wanted to make sure that all of our events were kid and family friendly. That was another thing that I noticed is a lot of these events were not kid and family friendly. You would show up at some events and maybe somebody brings a kid, and kids, when kids are outside, they want to be kids. They might be loud. They might run around. They might, they're going to be kids. And I noticed that they did not allow that in some of these spaces. It was shh, be quiet, slow down. Dude, it was very strict, right? It wasn't really built on enjoying the outdoors. And I don't force birds on kids. What I try to do is make it a fun outdoor experience, right? I want kids to go outside and come home after an event and say, Mom, Dad, Grandma, Grandpa, Auntie, brother, sister, I had fun. Let's go back outside. And along the way, Like you said, I get a little excited. So they're going to see me getting excited. I bird by ear. I can hear something and I can tell people what it is. And then eventually, kids are very curious. This is why I love kids so much, because their curiosity eventually will bring them to me, right? They're going to see me IDing birds and getting excited and helping people out. And eventually that curiosity will come to me. And then I want to engage that kid immediately. How many of you use the Merlin Bird ID app? I'm just curious. So the Merlin, how many of you don't know what the Merlin Bird ID app is? So what the Merlin Bird ID app is, it's an app that was created by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. And it's an app you can download. It is free. I always tell people, if it's free, it's me. So it's free. You can download it. And what's really cool about this app is you can take pictures of birds. You can upload it into the app and it will ID the bird for you. It's pretty accurate. Now, it's not perfect, but it's probably the best thing we got, as far as an app. But the other thing it has a sound ID function. So you can hit record and you can walk around like this and it will listen to the birds that are around you and it will show a picture of the bird based off of the noise. So what I will do with the little kids, I will say, hey, I have this app. It's called the Merlin Bird ID app. And I'll open up the app for the kids and I will say, if you hit this record button here, it will listen to all the birds around us and it will show you a picture of the bird. Folks, these kids, next thing you know, they run around like this. Mr. Patterson, Mr. Patterson, what's this one? What's this one? What's this one? And then all the other kids are like, I want a phone. I want a phone. They're all running around playing Pokemon Go. Real life Pokemon Go. So we give the kids some agency over that experience. I also use the Seek app, SEEK, and that helps you ID plants and trees and flowers. So maybe a kid is into flowers. Open up the Seek app, let them learn. So we make it like this educational experience, but now they're a part of that experience. They have some agency over that experience. So that changes the way they view that time outside. The next thing is all about accessibility and building a community. So we will always be looking to be more inclusive, be more accessible at all of our events. And people ask me all the time, will you change what you do for one person? And I always say yes, every single time. If one person has a need and we can fill that need, that's how you build community, right? That's how you build community, by thinking about people outside of your comfort zone, right? Outside of your abilities. We're all different. The next one is we are relaxed and casual, right? Birding should be fun. Birding should be an outdoor experience. It shouldn't be stuffy. It shouldn't be, so rigid, walking on eggshells, literally, right? It shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be that. For me, it should be joy. It should be joy. It should be some joy in being outside. It should be some joy in enjoying nature. So we are relaxed and casual, and we focus on bird joy. That's what we focus on. And the last one is collaboration. As soon as we created our club, people in the community showed up for us. The Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance, then was Madison Audubon. They reached out to us. They're now our fiscal sponsor for our birding club, if that tells you anything about community and collaboration. The Feminist Bird Club of Madison reached out to us right away. Do you need binoculars? Can we put your event in our newsletter? Like, they really showed up for us. So the community showed up, and we're still collaborating with those people today. And I tell people all the time, science, art, music, all of these type of things, outdoor activities, these are like the first things where the budgets are getting cut. So the people that are coming together and collaborating are being able to scale up and show up for the community in a bigger way. So collaboration is really important. I use what's called the Wisco birder method when it comes to birding. People asking me this all the time. What is birding? And I say, do you pay attention to birds? And they're like, yeah. I say, you're birding. You're a birder. They're like, well, but I don't have one of those cameras. I don't have those fancy binoculars and the scope that's $5,000. I'm like, you don't need any of that. All you need to do is pay attention. Pay attention is the advice my grandfather gave to me. My grandfather was a bird. And I tell people this all the time, that till this day, I've met some of the birders in the world, from Ken Kaufman to Amar Ayyash, some of the biggest birders in the world. And the best advice I've still ever gotten is from my grandpa when he said, just pay attention. That's the best birding advice I've ever gotten. Just pay attention. 2 words, right? You're paying attention, you're birding. So that's why I tell people you don't need to be a pro. Then I say, well, how do I see birds? I say, look for movement. They'll be moving in the sky. They'll be in the water. They'll be in the bushes. They'll be on the ground. They might be on your house. They're going to be everywhere and they're going to move. So look for movement. I say, then listen for music. They make some beautiful sounds. Especially this time. They're singing, right? Sometimes too early. But now you can marry movement and sounds together. Guess who's seeing more birds? And I always say it doesn't matter if you don't know what you're looking at. You can figure that out. So that's the Wisco birder method, and it is always about the joy. You can see that in everything that I do. Our events, we host monthly events in the Madison and Milwaukee area. We also host specialty events like community science events, like Christmas bird count. We've taken people to Horicon Marsh, the St. Croix River, which is a national park. I've even been leading a lot of walks in Illinois now. Don't tell nobody. The specialty outings, right? We do bird banding. I'll host BIPOC only hikes. I do birding 101 workshops, virtual lectures, keynotes. I'll show up in communities like this. This image here from the top left, this is one of my daughters, Alyssa, releasing American Kestrel at one of our Kestrel nest box monitoring events. Young girl holding a falcon and releasing it. What do you think that does to a young person, right? She will never be the same. Picture on the right is one of my BIPOC only hikes at Picnic Point. This bottom one is our spring bird banding event in Wapaka. So we kind of go all over the place with the type of events that we do. When I talked about trying to be as accessible as possible, here's accessible birding in action. Last year, we hosted Christian Cooper here in Wisconsin for a couple birding events. Christian is a world famous birder, Emmy Award winner, New York Times bestselling author. And we went birding, but one of our members had broke her foot. And she really wanted to go birding with us with Christian Cooper. So she reached out to us. She's like, is there anything we can do? I said, we can get you a powered wheelchair. Does that help? I said, it can go anywhere. It's an all-terrain vehicle. And she was like, yes. So we went out, scouted it for her, made sure that the wheelchair would be fine on the different paths that we took. She was able to come and enjoy the entire event. We also, anytime we schedule an event, we use a site called Birdability, and they have maps of all of these different trails all over the world, and they have captains in all these different cities and states that go out, and they actually go out on the trails and they document what they're like. How long are they? What type of trail? Are there restrooms? All these type of things. What's the parking like? How long is it? And we use that information and we provide that on our website when we describe the event so people know what to expect. Like, yes, I could do that, right? I can do that trail. I could show up for that. There's adaptive birding equipment that we use. We have harnesses for binoculars, for example, that take the pressure off people's necks, stuff like that. We have portable stools for people that may need to take a break along the way, right? So there's little things that you can. We also have monoculars instead of binoculars. What if one eye prefer to use one eye or something? So we have all of these different things where you give people an option, right, on what they may need. We also have a couple Spanish-speaking leaders in our group, and we have translation sometimes for folks. So we did a couple weeks ago, we did a Know Your Rights event and a birding event in Milwaukee. and we would speak in English and then somebody would translate it into Spanish. And we do that on the trail sometimes too for some of our events. So language translation is another example of accessibility. Or we may just say we're going to organize a big sit. And what a big sit is we just pick a location and we just sit and we let the birds come to us. We're not walking, we don't do anything. Like we'll just tell people bring blankets, bring a chair, we have board games, we bring snacks and food, and we just sit together in community and watch the birds that are just around us. So that really is more inclusive and accessible for folks too, because what if you don't move around that well? So that's another example of accessible birding. We started a birding backpack program last year. We started in Madison and we were dropping them off at local community centers. We dropped them off at a couple churches. And then we started looking at how can we expand this program? Because we saw Madison Library already had birding backpack programs, thanks to our friends at the Feminist Bird Club. So then we was like, wow, the biggest city in the state doesn't have a birding backpack program. So we called up Milwaukee. We launched the birding backpack program in all 13 Milwaukee Public Library locations this fall, which is fantastic. And that was all based on collaboration and partnerships. The backpacks were provided by Fontana Sports. Many of you may know that company, local, woman-owned, Osprey backpacks too, which is kind of cool. Very intentional, very intentional. Inside, 2 pair of binoculars, one for an adult, one for a kid, birding field guide in there. And then wherever we put the backpacks, we created a sheet with our 10 favorite places to go birding near that library in Milwaukee. So people kind of know where to go, really made it easy for folks. And we're expanding to other libraries in 2026. I was just telling Sarah, I'm sending one up to rural Wisconsin to Shawno. I was up there a few weeks ago for a talk like this. A really small library, and I was like, they were like, we would love a birding backpack. I said, I got you. So we're expanding to other libraries. We also launched the Bus to Nature program. As I was reaching out to a lot of these people during the birding backpack conversations, there was something that came up quite a bit in discussions with them, because we wanted to say, do you all get outside, right? Like we wanted to not only drop off these birding backpacks, but we want to help get those kids outside too and collaborate on field trips with them. And they said, we would love to go, but we can't afford the transportation. And if we get there and we have them play all day, we can't afford to feed them, right? So like there were all of these barriers that kept coming up, and we were like, we could like be a part of that solution. So we applied for a bunch of different grants, and we ended up getting one. We were able to launch this Bus to Nature program. Last summer, I organized 6 different field trips for kids all over the state, all over Madison and Milwaukee. But what I did is I bused them to Horicon Marsh, which was really cool. Like I wanted them to go somewhere special. Like these kids, they're in low-income neighborhoods. Most of them are on free lunch programs. They're not traveling and going on field trips in the summer. And a lot of times, folks, like the kids in these communities in the summer, they don't have anything to do. But I found is like when kids don't have anything to do, they get in trouble, right? So we wanted to make sure that we could give these kids something fun to do in the summer, something to remember when they go back to school in the fall. They can say, I took a field trip to Horicon Marsh and I saw this and I saw that. And that's what we did. That's what we did. This day, I had 36 middle schoolers out on the trail at Horicon. I know, help.
Yeah.
Help. It was so funny because people are like, Dexter, how did you pull that off? How did you pull that off? I said, I let them be kids. I'm telling you, they was running around the trails with Merlin. They're using their binoculars. They're having fun. They're asking questions. They weren't on their phones outside of using Merlin. They were engaged. They also got pizza. Right? They also got pizza and snacks. But that was something special. They went somewhere special. And it was so funny as they got off the bus. I noticed a lot of them looking around, because how many of you have been to Horicon Marsh? Isn't it pretty magical? Like when you just look out and you're like, whoa, 30,000 acres plus, right? Like it's everything your eyes can see. I told them, like it was like Lion King. Little kids, everything your eyes can see is the marsh. They're like, everything? Everything. They had a blast. They had a blast. So I did that all summer. It was really, really cool. We're going to do it again. Luckily, this was such a huge success. We were able to get funded for another round of this. So we'll be busing kids all over this summer again, keeping them in nature. Nothing like a baby bird. Nothing like a baby bird. Community science, folks, is a big one. We like to create opportunities for people to conduct bird-related research projects, to see field observations, to help collect data and analyze bird populations, especially this time of year during spring migration or fall migration. This was actually fall migration when the saw-whet owls were coming through Wisconsin. You learn about not only population patterns, but nesting habits, but most importantly, I'm talking about that environmental awareness component. We learn about human impact of birds when you start doing these type of things with community science. So nothing like doing these type of things, but they're also very fun learning opportunities for young folks. What you see here are two young Black girls. On the left, Joy, in this picture, Joy was only 11. And she's blowing on a brood patch at age 11, literally trying to figure out if this bird is ready for mating or not, right? At age 11. On the right side is Joy and my daughter, Alyssa, and they are tending the bird banding station by themselves, right? Agency, they've been trusted, they've been empowered by the adults around them. And I tell people all the time, if you're going to help, make sure you show up and you provide ongoing opportunities for kids. Don't show up and disappear. What they need now are things that have some longevity. So if you want to help create a birding club or after school activities for youth, make sure you're showing up and hopefully you can stick around for a while so they have something that they can continue to benefit from. In the end, I like to call these experiences windows to wonder, right? Because I tell people all the time, like after the osprey, it was like I opened up another window. Then I learned about the yellow-headed blackbird, and I opened up another window and another window. And it's like this endless cycle of wonder, and it never stops. Like every season they're different. They all act different. They have different personalities. Like it is so crazy the more you learn. But the more that folks show up in these spaces that have typically hadn't had access to, they see what is possible. And I think that's the power of it. And that's why I tell people all the time, that's why representation matters in nature. That's why when people show up to an event, they should be able to see themselves there. They should be able to see themselves and feel comfortable there. Everybody, birding is for everyone, even you. And I tell everybody, these spaces lead to healing. These spaces lead to better habitats. These spaces are better for the birds and all of the things that they need. So the more people caring for the birds, the better. I told you all, we want to try to keep spreading that bird joy. The Bird Joy podcast is something that we created to do that. In October 2022, I was invited to a birding retreat that was organized by Christian Cooper, that gentleman that I talked about earlier, host of Extraordinary Birder on National Geographic. If you haven't seen that, he won a daytime Emmy for that. Multiple best-selling books. But the last day we were there at the birding retreat, Christian had us all in the circle and we're talking and we're strategizing about how we want to try to move the birding community forward. And he challenged everybody there that day. He said, I want you to connect with at least one person here and do something together to move the birding community forward. What you see here on the right, this is Jason Hall, the co-host of the Bird Joy podcast, one of my absolute best friends. That was us at the biggest week in American birding last spring at Maggie Marsh. He was my roommate down there. So I was like, hey, roommate, you want to make a podcast? He's like, all right, I don't know what I'm doing, but let's do it. I trust you, Dex. Ever since then, we've been doing that. Like I said, we just wrapped up season 4. We'll start recording season 5 in the summer. After that, folks, the next step for me was, all right, what can I do to really try to grow the birding community. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, I want to write a book. I like writing. I like photography. I love birds. I'm gonna write a bird book. But what kind of bird book? Right? So I started thinking about it, and I was like, I want to write a bird book that is for all birders, but thinks about the beginner birders first, right? The people that may not know anything. So that was my primary audience. Like, this is gonna be for all birders, but I'm really gonna cater to the new birders. I want to create something that shows people, and specifically this region. I just felt like we were really lucky in this Great Lakes region. So I was like, I'm going to focus specifically on the Great Lakes region, mainly Wisconsin, where I spend most of my time, but we happen to be bordered by 2 Great Lakes, so we're really lucky in that regard. And I said, I'm going to create a field guide, right? I'm going to create a birding field guide. And at the time, as I was doing the research, I found out Black man in the United States to write a field guide dedicated to birds. So that's historic as well. So I was like, I had this idea. I didn't know it was going to be historic, but I made it happen. Speaking of Horicon Marsh, that trumpeter swan is a photo I took on the frozen ice out there at Horicon. Here's how the bird IDs look in my book. I tell people all the time, the book, if you can hold it in your hands, it's very small, right? It's compact. I say it's small, but it's mighty, right? It's over 360 pages. It has over 150 different bird species, right? So there is so much in there. And I didn't write this book to be like this exhaustive list of the birds you can see in the Great Lakes region. I wrote it to be a window to wonder, to be like, I can see a pelican in Wisconsin, right? Like, I want to do that to people. I want people to see, I can see this thing. So people who don't know what a common loon is, they'll see that, they're like, that's a real bird? And these are in Wisconsin, right? Like, that was like the reaction I want people to have. But I also do these videos. They're called You Ready? Let's Go. Anybody familiar with my videos? So I'll say, who wants to help me find the common loon? You ready? Let's go, right? It's the let's go that gets me. Let's go. So I wrote this book to literally be formatted like one of my videos. So who wants to find the common loon? So then in my video, I will give you the appearance of the bird, right? So that's the first thing you see is the appearance. Then I kind of scan the habitats and I show you where they hang out. I explain the habitats. Then I talk about unique behaviors and different things of the birds. So you get the unique behaviors. And every one of my videos, I end with a fun fact about the bird. Anybody know why I would want to end a bird ID or a video with a fun fact? Anybody know why I might want to do that? Emoji. I want to turn them into the emoji where their head pokes up, like I felt when I saw the osprey. Because if I can do that, maybe I can turn them into a bird nerd, right? That is literally my strategy. Every bird ID, every video. I took about 97% of the photos in the book too. So most of the photos you see are my original photographs. You know I had to show you an osprey. It's so funny. This top picture, this is one of the few pictures actually not from the Great Lakes region. This osprey picture was when we were in Georgia on that birding retreat with Christian Cooper. And that is the first bird we saw on the first birding trip that we went on in Georgia. And everybody's like, Dexter, there's your osprey. Yeah, I know. This is actually a bird right by the post office that I saw flying with a fish on the east side of Madison, not too far away from going back to that cellular time. So there's some connections to these two folks. Folks, I will tell you this, the response has been humbling. The response to the book, the support for the community has been incredibly humbling. This was Wisconsin Book Festival this fall. Look at all those people in my book. Like, I was crying when I saw this picture the first time, and I get emotional every time I see it. But there's so much bird joy in that room. And as I've been traveling around, this is River. And River's dad brought River to my event. This was actually in Rockford. I went to the Rockford Public Library here. And he said I had to bring my daughter because she loves your book. And that's just like one of those things where you're just like, wow, you know, and she had stories about the book and favorite birds, and she was so proud and so smart. And when I see little babies, like I'm getting goosebumps thinking about River, but we're making an impact on that next generation. When I say support, it was the #1 selling book for a long ornithology and ornithology field guides. But this is just one piece of the puzzle. That's Amazon. But what makes me most proud is the support from local independent bookstores like Inkcat Books and Room of One's Own and all of these independent bookstores across the Great Lakes region. My first book tour event actually was at Call and Response Books in Chicago, Illinois, which was an independent bookstore in Chicago. And then my first local event was at Inkcat Books, and they were both independent bookstores. Wild Birds Unlimited and a lot of these local stores are supporting, including the big boxers like Barnes and Noble. It's sitting there too. So, yeah. They did. So this is crazy. So I'm gonna be going to biggest week in American birding again this year, and I'm hosting a book signing and a meet and greet there and leading a couple bird walks. And they called me and they said, Dexter, your book is sold out. And I called my publisher. I'm like, what is going on? I was like, y'all don't got no books. They're like, Dexter, this is a good problem. They said there are plenty of books out there on, Amazon and Target and all those places. They're like, but we had to do a reprint way earlier than we expected. So, yeah. Folks, it's about the birds. In the end, that's what it's about getting people outside and seeing the wonder that is around us. Look at all these birds, and they transport me back to memories. I can remember things. I remember how I felt. I feel like smells. And it's weird. Like I'll be on the trail, like I remember one bird sitting right there, But I can remember these like it was yesterday. And I tell people all the time, what I love about birds is the diversity of them, right? And I always tell people the birding community should reflect the birds we all love. We're of all different shapes. We're of all different sizes, all different colors, ages, abilities. Heck, there are birds that can't even fly. That's people, right? The birding community should reflect the diversity of the beautiful birds that we all love. Because when we do that, we can center on the joy, right? And that's what it's really about. Joy. Nature brings joy. There is so much joy waiting for you out there. And I tell people all the time, what are you waiting for? Right? What are you waiting for? So what you're seeing here, folks, this is our Black Birders Week event 2 years ago. We were out at Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance property. And what we did is we partnered with a local raptor rehab center called Who's Woods. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Who's Woods, and they brought some of their rehab birds to our event. But as you see, people of all walks of life are there, right? We're celebrating Black Birders Week, but we welcome everybody. And Roman, this is Roman, he's one of our members. Roman came to us when he was 6 years old, all right? And we started July 2021, so he came to us first year. He's been with us ever since. I got to tell y'all about Roman real quick. Hold on. First event. This look. Oh my God. So he shows up. He's 6. So I mean, he's way big. He's like right here now. He shows up at 6-year-old with his little 6-year-old pack, little plastic, little cartoon backpack. Like he looks like a little 6-year-old, but he's holding a notepad. So immediately, I'm like, this little dude with a notepad. Like, you just don't see this. And in that notepad, folks, he wrote down all these warblers. Warblers are the little songbirds. They're very colorful. These are warblers right here, right? They're the colorful little birds. Warbler means singer. They're the ones that are typically at the very top of the trees that you can barely see, but you can hear them, and they're super bright. They move really fast, right? So Roman shows up with a list of like 20 warblers that he wanted to see. And he said, I want to see them today. We're at Picnic Point. It happened to be peak spring, and we got him his birds. And it was so crazy because we were on this one stretch along the way where he saw like 15 of those birds. And he's like, this is Warbler Alley. Till this day, when we go to Picnic Point and we walk by there, he's like, there's Warbler Alley. It's a fantastic bird. 11 years old, right? He's like 200, I forgot last time, it was like 250, 260 on the lifer list. A lifer is the amount of birds you've seen, right? He's a rock star, you know, and he tells everybody, I'm going to be an ornithologist. I tell people that all the time. That's what representation means too, because when people show up in these spaces, it changes the way they see the world. It changes the way in which they think it's possible, right? They're like, oh, I like birds. Birds are for me, right? Dexter's been leading me since 6 years old, teaching me whatever I need, right? Pouring into him. We gave him his first camera, a scope, binoculars, like whatever he needs. People in our community donate to the kids in the club, right? They want these kids to keep going. So back to this. His favorite bird, folks, is the peregrine falcon. And the peregrine falcon is the fastest bird in the world, right? That's what I think he thinks it's so cool. It's the fastest bird in the world, right? You know, they're playing with his little airplane cars and stuff. It's the peregrine falcon for him, right? So one of the birds that Who's brought was the peregrine falcon. Right? That was one of their rehab birds, and I knew they had it. So needless to say, and before they about to open up that box, I was on Roman with my camera because I knew he was going to have that reaction, right? That's bird joy. Right next to him is his little sister Willa and his mom. So it's just really cool to kind of see kids, right? Kids getting these experiences at such a young age, because I promise you, at this age, knowing that you are a bird and knowing that nature is for you is life-changing. Folks, top left is my daughter, Victoria, with a chickadee. I know. Chickadee. Top right is my daughter, Alyssa, with a blue jay. Bottom is Zachary with a female Baltimore Oriole. And we got Lars on the bottom right with a chestnut-sided warbler. I promise you, you hold a bird, any bird, I don't care if it is. I don't know what. I'm just holding it like this. You will never be the same. That bird joy will change you. This is what you see at my events. On the left, folks, that's my woodcock walk. Look how many people showed up to see the American. When you look at these photos, what do you see? Joy. People having fun. Showed up to a burning event and you saw that, would you feel welcome? Right? That's what we want. We want people to show up and know this is for you. I had somebody ask me, how are you seeing birds with that many people? I will tell you this is what I call an ussy. I do these things, right? So we're not literally grouped like that the whole time. Yeah. We have leaders throughout the whole thing. There's a leader, there's our Milwaukee Club leader. We have a bunch of different leaders that are throughout the whole line. Before you know it, you're kind of like, there's groups, you know, you kind of stage themselves. This night, we saw 12 American woodcocks. One about the size and how many people showed up, right? And we had fun. We laughed, we clapped because a lot of people got their lifer American Woodcock and got to see the sky dance for the first time. Celebrated with those people. And guess what? They came back this year too. The photo is very similar. I will tell you that. Right? But that's what we do. On the right, that is actually one of my BIPOC only hikes in the winter. You know how many times I've heard Black people don't go outside in the cold? I have proof. And we have fun doing it, right? Folks, I want to leave you with this because I want to obviously leave some room for some questions and some time to chat with you all and sign a couple books. I want to leave you with this call to bird joy. I want to encourage you, this is the best time to get outside. Spring migration is fantastic. Invite somebody new to come with you, somebody you haven't seen in a while. Maybe it's a neighbor or a coworker. Bribe them with coffee and then be like, psych, we're going hiking. I challenge you to appreciate every bird, right? Appreciate every bird that you see. Because what I see is a lot of folks, so after a while, turn birds in just a check mark, right? Oh, I just got to see it. And I got to see the next one. And I got to see the next one. And if they don't see that one that they want to get the check mark for, they go home pouting. And they're like, don't realize, wait, you saw like 40 other bird species and you're upset. Like, what is wrong with you? Celebrate every bird. I can't tell you I don't know how many robins I've seen in my life, but they start hopping around in the grass. I don't know, y'all maybe have seen this recently, and they're actually looking for worms and they're tilting their little heads and doing this. I get excited. When I hear a male house finch singing after a long winter and his colors are starting to come back and he's just singing his little heart out, I love, my little male house finch, right? I don't care how many times I see these birds. It's not just a house finch. It's not just an American crow. It's not just a blue jay. There was a point where people are familiar with the passenger pigeon, right? Populated bird in the world. It's extinct. Oh, we have so many of them. We have so many of them. That's how they treated that bird to the point now it's wiped out. Same thing almost happened to the sandhill crane. We almost lost that majestic creature. We almost lost it. Aldo Leopold wrote about it in his land ethic. He talked about we don't deserve these birds. At one point, we're down to like 20 nesting pairs of sandhill cranes. I always tell people all the time, I love the American robin. It's our state bird of Wisconsin, but I would love it to be the sandhill crane. And the reason I say that is because the conservation story, very majestic birds. They're dinosaurs. They're just so nothing sound. I mean, just hearing them come back to appreciate them, right? Because we're not promised to have these birds forever. And I want you to share your own spark bird stories with people. I told you mine with the osprey. And the reason I tell people to share that spark bird story is because it's going to have some authenticity and some emotion in it, right? And if people care about you and they hear that you're fired up about something, you're to convince them to come have that coffee and go on that walk with you, right? But don't forget the bird joy. Thank you. You can pick your favorite local park, right? So we've done our sits at Tenney Park in Madison. What park? Tenney. Yeah. But I tell people, pick your favorite local park and just sit. You'll be blown away at how many birds are around you. Our last big sit that we did at Tenney Park last summer, 27 bird species. And we just sat in a circle for 2 hours. And we saw 27 bird species and didn't walk anywhere. So it is fantastic. So I would say start local and then branch out. What it is, I tell people all the time, there are so many bird species, right? I know a lot about the birds that we can see in this region. Like some people say, oh, Dexter is a bird expert in Wisconsin and Great Lakes. And I'm like, okay. Pop me in Costa Rica. I'm like, huh? Where am I? Right? That is like, it's literally a completely different habitat. It's completely different birds. It's completely sounds. So that's why those people do that. And that's why it's so different, is because it's different species. They're typically teeming. The guides help because they know the local terrain. They actually know the birds. They know where you're going to find specific birds. It's ecotourism. It's a big thing. Birding is a multi-billion-dollar industry, like billions and billions and billions of dollars every single year in birding. So it's there's always somewhere to go. And if you go international, you never know what you might see. Don't send them to the recording. I know ospreys definitely nest in that area quite often.
I think it's an eagle.
Yeah.
And in fact, last week, I was getting onto the belt line and an eagle came flying right over the belt line carrying a fish.
Yeah.
And it's over towards that nest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a whitehead.
Yeah. Well, if you see the whitehead, that's dead giveaway. Typically they like to return to the same nest every year and build on it and make it bigger, reinforce it, different things like that. An eagle will bully an osprey. Typically they'll bully him for food. Like when I was telling that story earlier, when the osprey pokes his head out, they usually look left or right. They're looking for the bald eagle, usually because the bald eagle tries to steal their fish all the time. So yeah, the bald eagle will definitely bully an osprey.
But that's okay.
Kids are gonna kid. You know? I like that. Like, I'm a scream again, kiddo. I love it. I love it. We gotta pour into them. I think Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance does a lot of really good things. I think they're recently, the last couple of years, they really picked up on the bird collision things that they do for window strikes. And you can volunteer and have a certain area to go and talk to businesses about putting bird dogs on their windows to prevent bird collisions and things like that. And it really kind of hit home for me because my mom works at UW Hospital on the east side, and no decals on that window. I guess they built that before this ordinance started in the state, and they haven't added any dots since then. And there are so many dead birds there. And my mom, she was really upset about it. And I reached out to them, and they've been calling the hospital trying to get them to do something. But that's a program that's making a real difference, right? Like that is really saving lives. So if I had to pick one, that'd be one of them that I'm really proud of right now.
Mention that this Sunday is the annual Madison Bird and Nature Festival.
Warner Park.
At Warner Park.
Yeah. It's a great.
We'll have a lot of different exhibitors. They bring in live raptors.
Yeah. They've got snowy out there.
Right.
Yeah, it's a fantastic night. It's free too. Not at the events, but it's so funny you say that. I've had friends that say, I'm afraid of birds, but you're making me think about it. Sometimes life experiences, show her some pictures of it and show her how beautiful it is from a picture. And be like, this was that bird that flew over us. They do have and they can make loud fly away, but experience. So unexpected. Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic.
He's a local bird guy. He is some local big walks and so on. And he's currently exhibit over by Orchard Hill on he's looking to raise $4,000.
Sean is great. He one of the most knowledgeable birders I know.
Yeah.
Like he is a treasure trove of information.
Yeah.
Great person too.
Yeah, and he's very regardless.
He knows so
When
much
you
too.
know-
Yeah, he knows so much, but
He's getting in.
he's patient,
Yeah.
right? He's very patient. He's nice. He's also an eBird reviewer. These are great questions.
What's your? Also. So you want to check one out first? Our topic of the mail.
Yeah.
My friend.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah, we do